What if I told you that some of your favourite horror movies had scenes so horrific and so disturbing that they had to be cut out of the film? Well, today we're going to take a look at 7 of these scenes, and we're going to see if they were really horrific or if it was just producers and members of the ratings boards just to see if they were too scared to watch them. Our first entry on this list is Event Horizon. So the captain's log scene, it was so horrific and disturbing that Paramount forced Anderson to cut it down to what we see today. So with the captain's log in Event Horizon, it's one of the major key plots just to see what actually happened when the ship went through the black hole, or the gateway as they call it. And throughout the movie, we do see little inklings of violence of what happened. The blood and the skulls adorn the walls in the cockpit. Well, there was actually more to it. And as we got by here, the log was filmed by Vadim Jean, and some of the deleted footage includes screws being drilled into teeth, arms and legs being broken with pipes in such a graphic way that real amputees were actually hired for this scene. They would have fake limbs put on them, people would then bash the limbs with pipes, and obviously the amputee would then crawl or walk away without the actual limbs. And when they were filming this, they actually knew that the majority of it would be censored, because even they knew it was so violent and disturbing that no one should really watch it. But with Event Horizon is a unique beast amongst horror fans. To me, it's one of the best haunted house stories in space, if you want to call it that. And as the writer of Event Horizon, he actually pitched it as The Shining meets The Alien, or The Shining in space. When it actually went to Paramount, they actually told Paul W.S. Anderson that he actually had to shave out nearly an hour of actual footage. The majority of this was the violence. Obviously, if you have seen the film, even just the snippets of what we see with the captain's log, or they classed it the blood orgy, or the actual part at the end when Weir and Lawrence Fishburne's character are fighting, he gives him visions of hell. That was sped up so much that the actual scene lasted for nearly a minute. On screen, it lasts for 10 seconds. Was this too violent, too disturbing, and too horrific? More than likely. But there's some on this list that will make you go, oh, I can see why that they actually got rid of this. David Cronenberg's 1986 remake of The Fly. I haven't got to say anything about this movie, just to be like, everyone knows how good The Fly is. The special effects, down to every single little detail, like when Jeff Goldblum's character, Dr. Brundle, is climbing on the walls. It's a rotating room, looks spectacular, all done in camera. And it just got sadder as the film went on. Obviously, the special effects don't need no talking about because they won the Oscar for it, but obviously we are here to look at disturbing scenes and that was so horrific that either producers, directors, or even the actual movie companies wanted cut out. And with The Fly, it was actually the baboon and cat scene. Brundle tries to reverse his transforming state by putting a baboon and a cat in separate telepods, all going into a third one, so keeping their molecules separate, they're not interfering with each other. However, this does fuse their bodies together into some sort of disturbing mess of a thing. And what does Brundle do? He kills it with a metal pipe and beats it to death. Obviously, this scene got a lot of people upset, and the majority of it was, we have gone through this film on Jeff Goldblum's side. You know, when we saw it happening, everyone was like, oh no, the poor guy, he can't do this, he can't do that. But seeing him kill this animal is what pushed all those people over the edge to be like, no, we don't want to see this, we don't want this. And that was actually a test screening in Toronto. When David Cronenberg was there, he looked at it and went, yeah, this needs to go. So for me, this is actually a really horrific scene, and you can see it online, there's photos, like by here we actually have a still image of the scene. But if you don't like animal cruelty in your movies, even if it's fake, it's still horrible. So to me, I'm glad this one was actually left out. This movie doesn't really need any introduction. And with The Human Centipede 2, it is a very grotesque, very violent, very disturbing movie. And as you can see, it was actually filmed and released in black and white. And that was because Tom Six, the director, he thought it would get past the censors if it's black and white, because you can't really see anything. However, that didn't stop audience members screaming and shouting about it, calling the movie vile, disgusting, people should be arrested for this, it's so obscene. And with this, as you can see by here, an audience member at its premiere became so physically sick during it, paramedics had to assist her. But overall, the movie had to be censored worldwide and was only released in black and white due to what we were talking about. And it was up until 2015 when a full colour version was released alongside the director's cut. But with the Human Centipede 2, there's scenes and just whole sequences that were cut out, just because they were horrific. One involved a newborn baby. There was also one where the protagonist or antagonist, however you want to call him, this dude by here, he had to wrap a piece of barbed wire around his Johnson and then proceed to use it. That scene was cut out nearly worldwide because, well, it's depravity for depravity. For me, I saw it once, never again. Not my type of movie. And I do like gore and all this, but this one to me, it just didn't seem like fun. You know, it's not a fun horror film. Same as a Serbian film, which we will not be talking about in this video, but we will be talking about it in a future one. Wes Craven's first proper directorial movie was The Last House on the Left, or Krug and Company, or Sex Crime of the Century, or even the name Night of Vengeance when it was actually being filmed. But with this film had very, very bad word of mouth going around the world, not just in America. As in America alone, you had projectionists, you had movie theatre owners, they were all taking their turn to slicing this film up because some scenes that they thought were too disturbing and no one should see them. Around the world, here in the UK, The Last House on the Left, it did have a couple of certificates where 4 to 5 minutes had to be cut out. Then it went down to, I believe it was 51 seconds, then it was 15 seconds, and then within 2 years of that 15-second slice, it was released uncut. But again, no, there is one scene that is very hard to come by, and as we got by here, the scene that everyone thought was too disturbing and horrific is when Phyllis is stabbed in the gut and Sadie begins to disembowel her, pulling her intestines out and ending with Krug and the others all looking at one another in disgust. So with this one, Wes Craven actually did say he wanted to see what these people were like normally. The horror films that were out before this movie, Dracula, House on Haunted Hill, were all the ones where, you know, Mr. Castle would do like the skeletons coming out of the screen and all that kind of stuff from a haunted house. No one had seen anything like The Last House on the Left. Well, Wes Craven went out there, he made his film, and now he is known as the Master of Horror, RIP to one of the greats. Now this is actually one of my favourites, and it's a shame that we didn't see it, and this is The Lost Boys. The disturbing scene that Joel Schumacher and the movie company thought was too horrific. So when David tells Michael it's time to join the club, you do see a few seconds of Michael, David and the other vampires all feasting on people on the beach. And there's one scene in that in particular where you do see Kiefer Sutherland's David biting on the head of a bald man. Well, that scene actually went on longer. And with this was actually Kiefer Sutherland's favourite scene, and when he went to the premiere, he was actually upset that the scene never made it into the movie. And the reason why it didn't make it into the movie, as Kiefer Sutherland has said, it was like eating cake. With this, I was just having fun. And there was so much blood, so much gore, you had pieces of brain coming out. To me, that's actually quite funny that was a scene that they cut in a horror movie about vampires who eat humans. Yeah. But as we said, this was Kiefer Sutherland's favourite scene, and he's just upset that it never made it into the final cut. Who can blame him? Now we're going to take a look at Evil Dead 2013. When this movie was announced, a lot of people, myself included, We weren't ready for it, and to be honest with you, a lot of us thought it was going to be rubbish, mostly because Sam Raimi wasn't directing, Bruce Campbell wasn't returning as Ash, and, well, it was some unknown director coming in and taking over. Well, Fede Alvarez sure showed us. Evil Dead 2013 is actually my second favourite in the entire series, and the film is so good, it added a whole new lore into the movies, and with this, the disturbing scene is the chainsaw scene, which, to be honest with you, even the other Evil Dead movies, the censors, just the public in general, they were all going against it, saying it's too violent, you don't need a chainsaw to cut people up. Well, if it's available, it's one of the best things to use. So with this scene, David takes his girlfriend Natalie's body into the shed and proceeds to use the chainsaw on her. This scene was actually used in every single trailer. So when the film came out and it was nowhere to be seen, everyone was shocked, confused, and a lot of the angry fans, they took to the internet to try and be like, where is it? What happened to this scene? And we've actually seen this now recently with a lot of movies of the last decade, where scenes are being put into movies and then not being used. A lot of this time, people are like, oh, it's going to spoil the story, so we didn't put it in there. No. If you want to put something in a trailer, make sure it's in the movie. But with this one, the scene was too graphic and disturbing that even the producers decided to take it out, even though it was more than likely the main focus of all the marketing. For Fede Alvarez, you will have my just loyalty for any other horror film you make, because the guy's got talent. He loves horror, and especially Evil Dead 2013, it's a doozy. Now, possibly one of the most horrific scenes that I could possibly think of was taken out of the movie. It wasn't even edited into the final frames, but it was recorded. There was a few scenes where they did actually do it, and as you can see, it is Pennywise for chapter 1, and the disturbing scene was Pennywise in the 1600s devours a baby in front of its mother. So with this one, it's a very unique case because Bill Skarsgård, he has said that a lot of this scene was actually filmed, but they decided not to put it into the movie just due to how disturbing it was. Even in the script, it actually states that while we watch this woman who is going towards the dead eyes, all of a sudden, in the background, we see Pennywise move towards the baby, and the baby's cries are shut off sharply. We then hear a loud crunch. To be honest with you, even for horror films, if you see a baby being eaten, it's like with dogs. You don't kill dogs in movies or cats. You just don't do it because people will come after you. I could see why they left this one out, because it is a little bit of a bit over the top. But again, no, we are talking about Pennywise, and some of the things that we've seen, you know, the supernatural and all this, we know it's not real. But, like I said, I Am Legend, brilliant film. When they killed off the dog, that was me gone. I didn't want to watch the rest of the movie because I was too upset. I think this would have had the same impact as the dog dying in I Am Legend. But you know, these things happen. But guys, let us know down below, which one of these do you find the more fascinating? Better yet, which one out of these 7 do you think is the most horrific and should actually have been deleted? Let us know down below, folks. Like and subscribe. I will see you on Friday for a retrospective of horror, another one, which is going to be our brand new series going forward every single Friday. So folks, like and subscribe. My name is Dan. Take care, and if we survive, I'll see you in the next video.